This setup skips Expo notifications entirely. Nothing against Expo notifications, it's just that I learned this method first and I'll show you exactly how I did it. You'll need Firebase setup for this. I already created a tutorial series on working with Firebase. It's a still work in progress, but it covers the essentials. All code examples are available on GitHub and the links are in the description. If you want the latest updates as I continue this Firebase series and more Expo tutorials, be sure to subscribe to my channel. Thanks. Now to configure the iOS part, go to your Apple developer account and under identifiers, select your application, find push notifications, enable it. If you want to broadcast to multiple devices at once, check this option, skip the configure button, it is legacy, and click to save. Since my app doesn't interact with APN directly, it does so through the Firebase cloud messaging service, I need to create a programmatic access and go to keys, register a new key, enable APN. Under configure I select the sandbox and production, but it is usually advised that you have different keys for testing and for production, and click to register. Note this key ID and download the P8 file. You will need it for Firebase next. In the Firebase console, find your project and go to Project Settings, Cloud Messaging tab. It should be enabled by default. Scroll down to your application package and I will upload the APN authentication key that I just created. And you can find the team ID in your Apple developer account, upper right corner, and that's it. APN is connected to Firebase. For Android part, you need to go to General Project Settings, and under Android part you need to enter the correct SHA fingerprint. You will need at least 2 SHA fingerprints. First one is for testing, while you're developing using EAS development client, and the second one is once your app is in the Play Store, it is a different SHA fingerprint. For production, go to Play Console, it is under Test and Release, App Integrity, Play App Signing, and copy either the SHA-1 or SHA-256 certificate fingerprint. For local testing, just hit EAS credentials, Android, and you should see your credentials soon enough, and copy the SHA fingerprint into Firebase SHAs. One more thing before the coding part, download the Google service files again for iOS and Android in the root of your project and check that your configuration file for Expo points to Google service files. Also, recreate the provisioning profile for iOS. And now the coding part. For React Native example, I already have Firebase set up, so dependencies that I need to add are messaging and React Native permissions. Permissions because I need to ask the user for permission to send push notifications. And in the app configuration, you will need to set the React Native permissions, set the plugin, then the iOS permission needs access to notifications. Android also needs access to notifications, but permissions are already set in the Android permissions setting. You also need to configure the iOS part, so it's important to set apps environment entitlements. Depending if the node environment is for production or development, it will be in sandbox or production mode. And plist needs another configuration, that is if you want to send the silent push notifications. Besides that, I'm done with the Expo app configuration, and now that the configuration is done, I'll cover 3 steps: asking for permission, obtaining device token, and testing notifications. You need to explicitly ask the user consent to give a notification permission, and that's why this hook. This is a dummy hook for the web, because I haven't covered the integration for the web. That will be for another tutorial. This hook is run on the upload, and I run it again when the app becomes active, because user rarely completely exits the app. If I get the permission, I can ask for the device token, and that is the address to which push notification is sent. In this video I will only request token and log it in the console. I will use it in the next step for testing the notifications. I log two kinds of tokens over here. If you're on Android, this is irrelevant, but if you're testing on iOS, this is the APN token. Firebase Cloud Messaging only acts as a middleman, so it always uses the APN service, Apple Push Notifications, and it grows to Firebase Cloud Messaging. If I run the iOS emulator, and when I run the simulator, this is the first screen that I see, the modal dialog asking for permission to send notifications. And you can see here, none of the tokens are logged because I didn't allow it yet, but when I allow it, I will get the APNs token. And this is what I need if I want to test sending the push notification. Apple provides a service for sending push notifications. You only need to go to dashboard notifications, select your application, and I need the device token. This is the APN token that was logged, and everything else is okay, so I can just click send. And the message was sent. I don't see it here because the application is already in the foreground, but if I exit the app and resend again, I should see the push notification. And if you want to test push notifications on Android, you can do so with Firebase Cloud Messaging Service. You can find it by going to Firebase console, select your project, and in the all products, find Cloud Messaging. You can set a new campaign, notifications, enter something for title and description. You will see the preview over here and find the send test message. You first need to enable sending notifications, so allow it, and copy the Firebase Cloud Messaging token that you see in the terminal. I'll put it in the background, and if I test it, and I finally got it. Sometimes it takes a while, it takes like a few minutes when you test with Firebase Cloud Messaging, but you should be able to test it on the emulator and on the simulator. This video only covers integration and testing push notifications. In reality, you might want to send notifications from your servers. Then I haven't covered the integration for the web, also in-app messages, and I will save that for other tutorials. I hope this video was helpful and thank you for watching.